Hi, can you tell us who you are and a little bit about yourself?
My name is Jordan, and I'm a student at the University of Wisconsin-Stout studying business and environmental science. And I chose to study those two topics because while I was in high school, I realized that there was a strong disconnect between the business community, which drives a lot of the social initiatives throughout the world, and the science community. And there's not a huge overlap of communication between the two, and I think it's important for the future of our species, really, to understand the natural world and live with the natural world while incorporating it into a holistic way with contemporary society.
Cool. So, you chose to study this past year
Mhm.
in Oroville, in India, an intentional or eco-village community, and in Findhorn, Scotland, another eco-village or intentional community. What drew you to do this?
Originally, I left the United States because I was having some hard mental times and emotional times because I was really stuck in engaging in a society which I didn't necessarily agree with a lot of the ideals and ideologies that were of that were the contemporary thought. So I left. I wasn't happy with my education and the way it was doing. I didn't feel it was approached in a very holistic way. It was very cut and very dry. I was very much stuck in a box, and I had to be this way, and you have to go to society and be a cog in the machine, and you grow old, you get stuff, you get married, have children, retire and die. And I just didn't see the rationale behind that, so I made the conscious decision to go and experience something else. So I went to Oroville through a program called Living Roots, um, and that's a study abroad program where you travel to many different eco-villages and intentional communities and see the models of social structure that they're using. Uh, I started in Oroville and decided to continue with the Findhorn semester, which were told to be complementary programs in their ideology and methodology. But upon coming here, I realized that they're vastly different, but the same core intention is still there between the two communities.
What did you find in Oroville and in Findhorn, spiritually, ecologically, and socially, that helped you form a better understanding of life and human civilization and how we can help each other?
Well, I started off in Oroville taking an eco-village design course, which basically takes a systems approach at looking at how community is actually structured, how they build buildings, their water systems, how they get their food, how they govern, how they have like commerce. Because you have to really, in order to have a healthy civilization or community, you have to understand all those elements. People have to eat, people have to go to the bathroom, and people need water. And I started there and then continued with the course, and I found a lot of confidence, first and foremost, in the ability to make social change and to make a global social change, and not just in the midst of society, but really to go forward and evolve as a species, and try and to I guess, create a better condition of life for the individual as well as the whole, and seeing the unity between those. I learned of some very interesting other ways of how to actually go and do community. Um, social, there was an emphasis on social justice, I guess, in that there was a lot of communication going on between people, and it was really nice to see people sitting down and talking to each other and really talking about their emotions, talking about the problems they have with each other, and really taking a head-on approach when there is conflict. Because so often in our society, conflict is you don't do conflict, you don't approach it, and you don't talk about your emotions because for some reason you just don't talk about it. It's not something you do, and I think by opening ourselves up to each other, we kind of come to a common level, and we come to this realization that we're all human and we're all made of the same stuff, and we're all in this together. And it really takes away a lot of the social bonds and social filters that we kind of wear when we go and interact with people. And it was just nice to see people being people and realizing that we are all on the same planet. And I just really liked the communication. It was good to see people talking to each other openly and honestly,
Mm.
instead of having, the walls up.
Mm. Can you talk a little bit more, like, specifically in the eco-villages, what you really found? And also, I'm interested in the timing of everything. Did time seem to move in a different manner than it did in the world that you were used to? And how did that kind of affect your life and your happiness and who you found yourself being?
Okay. Well, there was definitely a different sense of time there. It wasn't so rush. It wasn't, this has to get done now or the world's going to fall apart. And that was really nice. It was much more relaxed. I found I was able to sit and enjoy a conversation with the person and not have to worry about, rushing off to the next business meeting. That allowed for a lot of personal interaction and personal integration with everyone as a community. It was really important, I think, to actually have that central unity and have the ability to go and come with someone one-on-one, make a connection, see where to go from there, see how we can help each other, because your problems I might be experiencing and you might be knowing exactly how I'm feeling with my problems. And by simply having the time, I guess, or the space to just sit and be with another person on a really intimate level was really, really nice. That was one of the most specific things that I can think of, the connections with people and realizing the connections that we do have and the overlap between people.
But things still got done, right? I mean, things get done in these eco-villages.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think things get done more efficiently and effectively, actually. In the case of Findhorn, before they do some piece of work, they sit down and they have silence and they think about what it is exactly that they're trying to do and why they're trying to do it. By putting that intention out there before they actually go and engage in their work, they've got a much stronger focus and they're more driven. There's no confusion, I guess. It's just very, okay, this is where we go and let's go and do it. And then people go and do it. There's a lot of things get done, and it seems to be more, I guess, from my perspective, more substantial, I guess, because it really incorporates a lot of people involved, and it considers the effects and the impacts that the individual may be having on the rest of society, and they put that out there and think about that, and then it kind of allows for an opportunity to go and say, well, wait, should we really be doing this? Because it might be affecting that guy, or it might not affect me, but it might affect that guy over there. So is there a way in which we can change this where it will affect us both in a positive way as opposed to a negative way?
What do people specifically spend their time doing in these places? Like, what do they put the most emphasis on? Because these places are focused on spirituality and ecology and harmony with the environment, and also the social aspect of living together.
When you ask that, I think about the individual and the individual growth, because I think is a big thing that people put emphasis on. Coming to terms with themselves, coming to terms with who they are, going through their past, emotions or troubled spots or traumas, and fully dealing with those, so they can go and be the best that they can be in order to be a service to the greater whole, and the rest of society. People work, people play, people laugh a lot. It's a lot of fun, but there is also, not necessarily a serious undertone, but people realize that, work can be fun. It doesn't have to be stressful. It doesn't have to be this grueling hardship. People have a lot of fun, and they just find joy in it. Whether it's, digging compost or, doing accounting, they find the joy in it, and they're able to go and really take a lot from it. A lot of social interaction as well, different ideas, communication between people with very, very different backgrounds, and coming to an understanding that we are kind of much more alike than we're willing to acknowledge. And growth. Growth is a huge one, both for the individual and for the greater society. It seems to be the real hot topic on a lot of people's minds. How do we grow? How do we go beyond what we are right now? How do we move out of what seems to be a rather chaotic system into something better.
How do you think that we can do that using these two models, Oroville and Findhorn? Like, what were the best lessons that you could say that civilization as a whole right now can take from these places?
I think people need to acknowledge the similarities between each other instead of isolating each other by differences. I think people need to be willing to open their hearts and minds to difference and other people's experiences and other people in general. I think people need to heal themselves in order to go out into society and create a healthy civilization. And I think what I've taken from these communities is that it's very, very possible, and it's actually a lot easier than people think it is. But it's kind of, we're afraid to really go and step over that edge and go into that territory because it is a bit of an unknown. And dealing with your past trauma can be hard and emotionally gripping, but in the end, it'll really help to propel you to the best place that you can be. And the last thing I think that our civilization can really learn from this is to bring back the central community and realize that we are a community with each other, with the earth, and as we are a one planet community. There are no divisions. There isn't a line between this country and that country. They're imaginary lines. It's all one. We're on the same boat together, and we can either all paddle at the same time and go great places, or we can just sit and float around for a while.
It's interesting you say about the imaginary lines, because society in a way is kind of based on our imagination and what we create out of that. And how is Findhorn and Oroville really fostering imagination to help bring about a different light to our world?
The two communities have shown that a lot of our day-to-day reality is based on the way in which we perceive it. I guess people have a very, very strong choice when they wake up in the morning. They have a very strong choice as to whether or not they're going to have a good day. You can wake up and say, I'm alive, I take a deep breath, I'm here, and I'm present, and I'm going to have a great day and take whatever comes at me in stride. Or you can wake up and say, it's 7 in the morning, I don't want to go to work, I just want to stay here. And that instantly wrecks your day. Just those first initial thoughts at the beginning of the day have the power over the rest of your day. And it just shows that through imagination we can accomplish whatever we really want to accomplish, as long as we think it and believe it.